Hey everyone, this is Mike Howerton here at Area 51 Alien Factory, and we are back with another great on-demand video. This is one that has been requested multiple times, and I've been talking about doing one here about this subject for a while, and this is probably the best kept secret of all the teams that are in iRacing in the open series, especially in the oval open series. This is something the teams keep close to their vest when they're building their setups, and this video is going to set you on the path to building great setups for yourself and for your team. I am not going to hide anything here. We are totally transparent here at Area 51, and our goal is to help you, the members of the iRacing community. We want everyone to get better. We want cleaner racing. We want faster cars on the track. We want better competition. And our main goal here at Area 51 Alien Factory is to help all of you here in our community. So to get on with this video, the topic of this video is going to be installing a software called MoTec. MoTec is a great piece of software. We've talked about it in a lot of our videos, and I keep saying I'm going to do a video on it. Well, this is it. And the thing that has kept me from doing the video on MoTec for a while is the fact that in order to use MoTec, you need the software, but you also need something called a workbook. And there has been other workbooks out there. We have been using different workbooks over the years created by different people. And one of the popular workbooks that floats around a lot of the teams out there is one that was created by Esports Racing Group. I believe the newest version I had was version 1.3. Tracy Rumschlag here at Area 51 had gotten workbooks from different places. They gotten different pages out of that workbook from different teams, and he had created like a very huge bloated workbook, for him that I thought had way too much stuff in it. It was pretty complicated. And then Michael Conti's Team Conti had put out a free public workbook that was available in that was one of the iRacing forums there, I think in the old forum site. A couple of years ago or so, that had a very, very stripped down workbook that they provided to the public, to you guys for free. But I just didn't find it super useful. The one thing that really prevented me from making this video before is I didn't want to give you somebody else's workbook and their intellectual property, that they had created. Not that anybody was really selling the workbooks, but I didn't want to be giving away somebody else's creation that I had gotten and then try to give it away as part of my video. And then the other free workbook, like I said, was Conti's workbook that was out there to the public. And I'm sure that wasn't the workbook they were using for their coat team, but it was one they had given away to the public for free. Just wasn't sufficient. I've seen a lot of YouTube, well, not a lot, but I've seen several YouTube videos out there where they had you install MoTec and then pointed you to that workbook because it was publicly released, but it just didn't have enough stuff in it. So what I have done, and this, like I said, I've been working on this for a while, is what prevented me from putting this video out sooner, was I have created our own Area 51 Driver Development Workbook. I have put hours and hours into creating this workbook. I'd taken pages from other workbooks that we had internally here at Area 51. I created whole new pages and worksheets myself for this. And there was one in particular sheet in this that actually required some custom math to be done in order to calculate the values. And a guy pulled in Tracy Rumschlag, our chassis specialist here at Area 51, into creating that page. And him and I worked together for hours to get the math right on one of those pages just for you guys. So this is a really big release, a video release here for us here at Area 51, just for you guys, the members of our community, and all you guys trying to learn how to build sets and to get better at iRacing. And yeah, so if you're new to the open series and you really want to dive in, this video is for you. So that's it. That's everything we got. I'm going to walk you. So we're going to do a 3-part video series. This is going to be the first video series in this, our first video in the series. And this is part 1 of this series. And this is simply just getting the files downloaded, how to install them, and how to get your workbook installed and set up in MoTec, and how to actually import a telemetry file into MoTec. That's going to be put the wrapper on this first video is that content. The second video in this 3-part series is going to be driver development, how to use MoTec for driver development on your team or yourself. and how you can use the tools that we have put into this workbook and that I've worked hard to put in this workbook for you to make your driving better. And then the third video in this 3-part series is going to be the setup building video, how to use MoTec to make your setup better and to make it proper on the track. You know, how to tell when it's hitting the splitter, how to tell when it's rolling over, how to use the workbook pages to determine that information. So that'll be part 3 in the video. So let's go ahead and get started with part 1 in this video. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to get started with the MoTec installation process. I have completely uninstalled and removed MoTec from my computer and all the software that goes along with it. I've removed my workbooks and everything so that you and I can go together right now and do this together. And I'll do it fresh on my computer, just like you would be doing it right now on your computer. So as you do this, watch this video once all the way through, and then I would go back and watch it again and pause it each step of the way as you install MoTec on your computer along with me. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen with you guys right now, and we're going to get started on this video. I want to minimize the Zoom software here, and we have our web browser up, and I'm going to put all the links to these websites down in the description so you guys can just click directly on it. The first link you're going to see in the description is the MoTec website to download this. Here's the main website, motec.com.au. And then you got a /i2 downloads. That'll get you to this page. But the main website itself is motec.com.au. And so, but the direct link that I'm going to put down in the description below will be to this exact page to download the software. Okay. The software version we want to download here from MoTec is the Pro version. And I'm going to assume that most people have a 64-bit processor. I mean, your processor would have to be, 12 to 15 years old, which and probably wouldn't run iRacing at that point anyway, if you didn't have a 64-bit processor. So we're going to go ahead and make that assumption. We want to grab the Pro version, not the standard. You can see on the screen here, there's 2 versions. There's Pro and there's Standard. They're both free. So we're going to grab the 64-bit version of the Pro software. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to go ahead and download it. And so let's go here into the downloads folder. It's going to tell me I've already downloaded it probably. No, it's not. I've copied it out of there. Okay, so we're going to download it. As you see it flashing down here, that means it's complete. It's not a very big file. It's only 32 megabytes. So we're going to go ahead here and click on the download. And we're going to run the installation file here for MoTec. And we're going to hit next, and we accept the terms of the agreement. Next. You guys can install it wherever you want to install it. Okay. I have 3 different hard drives or hard drive partitions, 2 physical drives and 3 different partitions. One is an NVMe solid state drive. I have that partitioned down to 2 partitions, one for my small 200 gigabyte partition for my Windows operating system. I try to keep only the operating system and any relevant drivers that I need, and any essential software or utilities on that Windows boot drive. Try to keep it minimalized. Also, if my Windows installation ever messes up, I can just simply wipe that drive clean, not lose any data. I don't keep my documents there or anything else. Any of my game installs, nothing. I can just simply wipe it clean and then reinstall Windows, point my documents and all my user folders to where they're supposed to be, and voila, everything's there. So I don't typically install stuff to my C drive. So if you do, then just click next here. If you're the type of person that does not install things to your C drive, that's cool. Just hit the change directory button there. And I am going to point this to my E drive. I have a third drive. I have a third partition, which is a second physical drive. And that is a traditional mechanical hard drive that's like 6 terabytes or something. I download my Steam library there and all kinds of stuff. And then I have a middle partition, which is the second partition on my NVMe drive, which is like 700 gigabytes or something like that. And that's where I install all the games that like I want to load fast and I'm currently playing. And that's where iRacing is installed. But I'm going to install my typical software here to the E drive, which is my mechanical hard drive. So I just simply keep the same path and change the letter to E, and it's going to install that in that path on that E drive. Okay, so now you can see that the drive letters changed. We're going to hit next. And then it's going to have a pop-up here, ask me to give it permissions to make changes to my computer. Yes, next. And there we go. We want to read the README file. Nah, we don't need to have to read the README file immediately. Default language, English. If you speak another language as your primary language, you hit the drop-down box here. It's got French and Japanese. So those are your only three choices, English, French, and Japanese. So we're going to stick with English and hit finish. And there we go. MoTec itself is installed. Now, there's another piece of software you need to install, and we can just go ahead and do that right now while we're installing software. And that piece of software is called MU. I've also heard some people pronounce it Mu. So either Mu, whichever one, however you want to pronounce it. The next link in the description is going to be to that piece of software. It takes you to a GitHub. There's a guy by the name of Patrick Moore who wrote this piece of software. And what this piece of software does is it takes the file format that iRacing stores the telemetry in. And iRacing stores the telemetry in a file format called an IBT. That's the extension. It's when whatever the file name is, .ibt. That's how iRacing stores it, but that is not the format that's needed for MoTec to read it. MoTec cannot read an IBT file, so we need this piece of software called Mu. This is his GitHub page for the MU software, and it gives a description here of exactly what it does. It says MU Telemetry Exporter for iRacing. MU is a telemetry exporter. As I'm reading the overview section here. It's a telemetry exporter that converts iRacing telemetry files, the .ibt, into files that can be read by MoTec's i2 software for analysis. i2 and i2 Pro are available for free on MoTec's website. And we already downloaded and installed that just a second ago. It talks here about the MU's features or Mu's features. It says it can export to MoTec, or it can export to human readable CSV files. So that's also an option with this software. It can export it to metric units, and it can also export it in imperial units, which is what we use here in the United States, or the metric, either way. And it automatically turns on telemetry capture. You can set it up in the options to every time you get in the car to automatically turn telemetry on iRacing. I choose not to do that. These telemetry files take up a lot of space. I mean, if you capture one race in iRacing, one full iRacing race in a B Open or A Open could take up around 300 megabytes of information of storage space on your computer for one race of telemetry. And that's a lot. I mean, if for every like 4 races, you would have well over a gigabyte. So you do this for a while and you can see how this would just eat up space on your hard drive. You can do that. If you do this and turn on the automatic telemetry, I would go into the settings and tell it to automatically delete the iRacing telemetry files. And then you need to manually go in and clean up your MoTec logs files as well if you do this option. I do not. I only want telemetry running when I want to run telemetry. Then you can also set up to save a copy of the setup file that you use to generate that telemetry. That's helpful if you're testing multiple versions of a setup. You can have it save the setup file name and the telemetry name there is a set together when it exports the telemetry into MoTec. So that's the features it offers. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go here to the release. I'm going to go here to the releases section right over here on the right. You go to releases, and this is the actual link that I will put in the description down below. The link is going to be directly to the download page in the link down below the video in the description. The latest version, you have a stable release. The latest stable release is 1.9.3.2. And then it says a pre-release, which is kind of like a beta. They're working out some bugs and things of that nature in it. But it has, all the features are there. So I don't mind doing beta testing or pre-release testing for people developing software. So we're going to go ahead and grab, or at least I am. You can always get the 1.9.3.2 if you want the latest completely fleshed out stable version. But I'm going to go ahead and grab this pre-release 1.9.4.0. And we're going to go ahead and click there. And When we do that, it's going to bring us here to the next page, and this is where the installer is. MU installer. There it is right there. It's also got the source code there if you want to grab the source code and you're a programmer and you want to help out, make some changes of your own, create your own fork of it. I don't know many people out there that would even attempt that, but it's available there. The source code is, but we're interested in this executable file .exe. So let's click on that. And there we go. We clicked on it, and we're going to go ahead and download it here in our downloads folder like we did the MoTec installer. And there it is. It is done downloading, and we are going to go right here, and we're going to click on it to install it. And it tells you right here, Windows protected your PC. Basically, what this saying is this software developer has not registered with Microsoft. This is unknown publisher. So it's giving you a warning that, hey, just install this at your own risk, that this publisher has not went and certified himself with Microsoft. Well, this is an independent developer that wrote a little tool for iRacing. So of course he hasn't. Don't worry about it. There's no harm to your computer. Just go ahead here and click run anyway. This is going to bring up your installer here when you hit run anyway, and they're going to click to agree to his terms for using it. This is general, some open source terms here, and you're agreeing to. You're going to hit install, and then we're going to hit yes. Now, one thing you'll notice, and this is happens with a lot of guys that just write little tools. It's a very small piece of software. It's very little, but it did not give you the option to change where you're installing it. That's fine. It just installs it to your C drive in your program files area there on your C drive. No big deal. And we're going to go ahead and click launch. And when you launch MU, you notice it puts an icon down here in the bottom right, down here in your taskbar. There it is. It's got the MU sign there. And we're going to click on it, double click on it, and it should bring it up. Oh, it opened it up, but we need to bring it to the foreground. Maybe I did it by closing the browser. Okay, guys, after you install MU, the reason it wouldn't open up is you have to restart your computer to get it to function, or at least with this version of MU. So I just did that. I restarted my computer. So if you want to add an icon to MU to your desktop, here's how you do it. You just click, if you have Windows 10, your start menu's on the left. I'm running Windows 11, but you click on your start menu, and however you go to all applications or all apps, everything you have installed, whichever version of Windows you're running, that's what you do. And then you scroll down and you find MU where you installed it. So alphabetical order, and here it is, MU, and you simply hold down the left click and you drag it over and creates a link, and this is pretty much the same process whether you have Windows 10 or Windows 11. So there it is. MU is now on our desktop. Let's just set it right down here, and we're going to double click on it to open it up, and here's the software. By default, it typically installs it to your My Documents path where you installed iRacing to, and it looks in your iRacing telemetry folder. Typically, it may not. Guys, I had this installed before, so it may have went and picked up my settings from before. I'm not sure. So, but these are the two directories that are important. These directories right here. This directory is import directory, and this directory is where you're going to put the where you're going to stick the MoTec logs at. So what we need to do is we're going to ignore this and pretend like there's nothing, this is wrong. It's got the iRacing directory here is where it's at. That's not where it needs to be pointed to. Sometimes it's just simply pointed to documents on your computer, but we're just going to pretend like it's not in the right place. And I want to show you guys where to point this thing to in order to grab those IBT files that iRacing spits out as telemetry. You hit the three dots right there. It brings up a file browser. On the file browser, you can do it multiple ways. You can just go to if it's got your username right here, there's a shortcut to your user files. The documents is in there. You can also do this PC depending on what version of Windows you have. It has a shortcut to My Documents, or you can just simply navigate to the folder on your computer where your My Documents is at. So we're going to go to Documents, and we're going to scroll down and find iRacing, and there's iRacing. We're going to open that up, and you see right here, it has should be a folder for telemetry right down here at the bottom. We're going to go to telemetry and click on telemetry and double click there. Okay, and it highlights it. There's no more folders to dig down, so click on telemetry and then go down and simply click OK. That's going to open you up to your iRacing telemetry folder. All right. Now, the export directory, you can pick any directory. I created my own directory for the exports. All right. And so we're going to go and probably do that first. I want to go here to my name, and I'll open up. This is well, instead we'll go to open up just a file browser. So down here on Windows 10 and 11, it has a Windows Explorer file browser by default in the taskbar. We'll go ahead and click there. And we're going to go to, it usually has a shortcut to documents over here in quick access. We're going to documents, and we're going to go to iRacing. And in iRacing, you see I have a folder here called MoTec logs, okay? And I created that. That's not default installed with iRacing. I personally created that folder. So what you're going to do is you're going to right-click over here in some empty space, and you can hit New Folder, and this will like MoTec logs, MoTec logs 2, right? You'll create one that just says MoTec logs, but it would overwrite my stuff that's already in there. And so I'm going to head and delete that, but create one that says MoTec logs right there. And we'll go in there. Here is all my MoTec logs that had been previously converted by MU. So once you've created this folder by right-clicking, right-click, new, create new folder, and then just name it MoTec logs. That way you know exactly what it is. Once you do that, then you come back here and go to the export directory, and we're going to change that. Hit those 3 dots on the end. And this PC, we're going to go to documents. We're going to go to iRacing. Then we're going to go to, there's the folder right there, MoTec logs. We're going to click that. Let me drag this up a little more. Click that. And it's highlighted there, and you hit OK. And then there we go. We're all set up. We have our import directory, which is where iRacing places the IBT files by default. That directory is installed by iRacing, and that's where iRacing places those log files. That is your import directory. The export directory is where MU is going to put all the files that MU outputs for MoTec to read. So that's all set up. Then there's a couple more options. Auto-enable telemetry. That's where you can turn telemetry on automatically every single time you get in the cockpit of the car. I would recommend against this because it will eat up massive amounts of hard drive space on your computer unless you clean it up regularly. Export lap threshold. This will remove like your outlap or whatever. It's up to you. You can put however many you want there. By putting 0, which is the default, it grabs everything. It'll grab your outlap if you come out of the pits, if you're testing. A lot of times when you're gridding, when you've gridded up at the beginning of a race, if you're taking telemetry in a race, it will record the lap where you're just sitting there on the grid. That would be lap 1, and then lap 2 will be your pace lap. There before the flag goes green, and then lap 3 would actually be the first lap of the race, and then lap 2 would be your first full lap up the speed. So just know that going into it, and if you would like to cut those off, you can tell it to, a lot of people just do 1 here, and that will cut off the gridding lap during a race, which isn't really a lap. You're just sitting on the grid, but you haven't crossed start finish line yet. It'll cut out your out lap out of the pits on a qualifying run. But anyway, I usually leave mine at 0 and just know by looking at the lap times which laps are what. So yeah, I usually leave it at 0, but you guys, I know a lot of people put it at 1 when they're out there doing testing and they're doing practice sessions and testing. They don't want those out laps coming out of the pits counted. So they put it to 1. I keep it at 0 normally. This is remove iRacing telemetry. Most people leave this at never. They always want those IBT files because for them, it's easier to share a single IBT file with a teammate or a friend or somebody than it is to share the MoTec logs. However, that makes every single log take up literally double the space on your computer. So if you run a race and you record telemetry for the whole race, and say it's an open race and it's like A open and oval, like the NASCAR stuff. You have the Cup race, Open Series, Xfinity Open, or Truck Open. I mean, those MoTec files, like I mentioned earlier, are around up to 300 megabytes for just the IBT file. And then when this converter converts it, sometimes those files get even bigger. So you would have 600-700 megabytes, almost a gigabyte for one race. So really, I don't want to. For me, having the ease of simply putting out an IBT file only to a friend, that easiness of that one file doesn't make up for all the massive space it eats up on my computer. So I tell it to always clean up and remove the iRacing telemetry files. And then I'm left with the MoTec logs only. And you can still share those. The difference is the MoTec creates 2 files for each race or each run, where the iRacing has the single IBT file. So if you're going to share the MoTec logs with a friend, you have to make sure you get both files, and I will show those to you here in just a second. So for me, myself, I turn this to always remove the iRacing IBT files, because it's less I got to clean up. It eats up half the space on my hard drive is what it would if I left that on. The other setting here, show settings at startup. I've got that on, and save current setup. I have that off. A lot of guys who do a lot of building turn this on. And by turning that on, it literally saves the STO, the .sto setup file out of iRacing and gives it a name that's similar to your stint name, so that you know exactly which setup you ran if you're switching back and forth and running a lot of setups. This is the setting that will tell it to save to that same directory with the same similar file name, the name of the setup you use to run that stint that you're analyzing in MoTec. So for a lot of people, it's very useful. I typically turn it off. I just feel like it junks up my directory, and I usually pay attention to which setup I'm running with each stint as I analyze it. So that's your options. You can just simply make that shortcut to your desktop and simply turn it on anytime you want to convert your telemetry over to use MoTec. That is MU. All right, let's bring up our web browser again, and we're going to go to the very last thing that you need to download in order to get all this working in MoTec, and what you need to install inside of MoTec. And the last thing you need is you actually need a MoTec workbook. And that's what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. I have written a custom MoTec workbook. And so we have got this Area 51 Driver Development Workbook that we are publishing and putting out to you guys in this video. You guys are getting it first. And it's open to the public. All we ask for is you give us credit for our work. And that if you share it, send people back to this video to be able to get the link and download it, and come here to get the download link for this workbook. And so you open up a web browser. I'm going to have a link down in the description below to a Google Drive share that I've created. Anybody that has this link can download the workbook, and the link is going to be in the description below. So all you have to do is click on it. I haven't got the video created, so I can't click on the link yet, but this is the link. I want to just simply copy it. And when you click on it, it's going to simply open up a tab, put the link in it, and it'll be the same as me doing this. And it's going to pop right up to the workbook itself. And it's a zip file, okay? And what we're going to do is, this is the contents of the zip file. We're going to go up here on the upper right-hand corner, and it's got a download button, okay? And you just simply click download. That's going to download the zip file to your computer that has the workbook in it. You tell it where to store it. We're just going to go ahead and throw it here in the downloads folder that we have here, the default downloads folder. We're going to save that. Okay, guys, now that we have that workbook file downloaded from the Google Drive, you're going to see it completed right down here in the bottom left-hand corner. We're going to right-click there and hit Show in Folder. Once you show it in folder, it brings up your downloads directory, your default downloads directory here in Windows, and you're going to see the file that we just downloaded, this zip file. We're going to double click on it, and that's going to take you into the zip file. Right here, this is the folder that we're interested in. It's just called MoTec, and that's the folder. And what we're going to do is we're going to right click on that, and we're going to hit copy. Now that that's copied to our clipboard, we're wanting to put it in the documents folder right here. And so however you navigate to your documents folder, you navigate to it. There's a shortcut in Windows 11 right here on the left-hand side, and we're going to right-click there. If you have Windows 11, there'll be 2 icons at the top. One will be copy. We just did that, but the other will be paste, and that's the one we're looking for. Paste. That's the one on the right. Go ahead and click paste and paste it into documents. If you're using Windows 10, your menu will look more like this. This is the more traditional Windows context menu, and in that case, you just go down and find the word paste and click there on the word paste. So we'll go back in, and if you have Windows 11, again, you right click on documents and you just simply click this paste icon up here and click that, and it's going to paste that. It's going to copy and paste that into your documents folder. Let's go ahead and click on documents, and let me click on something here and hit MoTec, and it's going to bring up, there's the folder we just copied in. And if you drill down into it, you're going to see I2, you're going to see workspaces, and you'll see Area 51, Driver Development version 1, and then there's the files for the workbook inside of there. So what we're going to do is we're going to close this, and now we're done with the browser. You have everything installed and on your computer that you need in order to make this work. So we're going to go in and we're going to open up MoTec. And we need to now install that workbook inside of MoTec. When you open up MoTec for the first time, it's going to say New Workspace Wizard because it doesn't know that you have any workbooks or workspaces yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and we'll just hit cancels. We're not going to create a new one. We already have one out there, and that is the one I created for you guys. And so open a workspace. The icon is right here, open workspace, and it already picked it up. It already looked inside of that my documents area that we had. Now, you might not have it. Again, I've had this installed before, so it might have just went and searched and found it because of some Windows registry, key or something that was kept there. So I'm going to pretend like nothing shows up here for you guys. Nothing shows up. So we're going to hit browse, and when you go to browse, you go to libraries and you'll go to documents. Then you'll search for that MoTec folder. You'll find it. You got an I2, workspaces, Area 51, Driver Development version 1. And then right down here, workspace.i2WSP. That's what you need to open up to load the workspace in the MoTec. So we'll double click there, and there you go. It loads it up. And we're here in the workbook. So and when you hit file, and let's go into the options. One thing you would want to do here in your options is tell it to always open up that workbook on start. It says load previous log files, load previous telemetry configuration. You can do that. You can also tell it workspace. Load previous workspace on startup. I think by default that's normally unchecked. I think the reason it was checked there is because, again, I had this previously installed. I think there's some setting that didn't get uninstalled, some configuration file or something probably in Windows registry. So what you'll do is you'll open it up, you'll come in and you'll say, yes, I want to load the previous workspace. That way it loads it up every time. Now, every time you open up MoTec, your Area 51 Driver Development Workbook will be opened up. And then you can save workspace on exit. That's always a good idea. If you've made changes and you want to save it on exit, you can do that. I also have it set up to auto save every 120 seconds. So when you get into your options there, like we just went to, you can check that box, tell it to save on exit, and then you can also check the box for auto save. And I tell it every 120 seconds, you can put whatever you want. It'll auto save any changes you've made to your workbooks. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. So there you have it. Your MoTec is installed. It is configured. Mµ is installed. It's configured, and now you have your workbook opened up and installed in MoTec, and we've set it up to open up your workbook every single time you open up the MoTec software. That'll make it easier for you. So really, guys, the only thing that is left is for you guys to get out on the track in your car and turn on the telemetry logger inside of iRacing. All right, guys, in order to turn on telemetry in iRacing, you can do one of two things. You can hold in the Alt key. You'd hold down Alt and at the same time hit the L key. So Alt and then L. Or you can go into the options menu right here. You hit options right up there in the top or left-hand side of iRacing. And once you go into the options menu, you want to go down here to controls on the bottom tabs, the bottom left-hand tab, control, and it takes you into the control settings. Right here, you can assign all kind of stuff. You can assign all the buttons on your wheel. And what I do is I go down here to where it says under other controls, and you go down towards the bottom, about 3/4 the way down. You'll see it right here. It says telemetry, or it says toggle telemetry logging. And when you hit right over here, it has the default. That default is Alt L. So here's what you'll see. You'll see Alt L. And so whenever you see it and you come here, it'll say Alt L. And that's what you have to hit to turn telemetry on. But what we're going to do, or what I did, and it's up to you if you want to or not, depends on how often you use telemetry. I use it quite often. And so I want to click there, and I'm going to simply map it to one of the buttons on my wheel. So I just mapped it to one of the buttons on my wheel. And when you're done, you can just hit done. We're going to get into the car. And once you're in the car here, you're just going to simply hit your telemetry button that you have assigned, or Alt L, and we're going to do that, and it is going to bring up the telemetry. So let's do that right now. There we go. And as you see right here, on the right hand side, right here, the other side of my gear shift and input little box here, you'll see where it says telemetry. And again, if you hit Alt K, then you see these all turn. You can move every box on the screen. They all have like a greenish glow, or a greenish bluish green glow around them, and you can move them. You can move telemetry, wherever you want it. But I'm going to kind of keep it right here. That's where I like to have it, out of the way. And to turn that glow off to where you can't move anymore, you hit Alt K again. So let's go out on the track now, and we'll turn a couple of laps real quick and log some telemetry. Okay, guys, now that you've turned a few laps there in iRacing, we've closed iRacing back out. And right here, I have some telemetry files. I brought up two Window Explorer windows and set them side by side, so that you guys can watch this process happen live. So you see these two telemetry files. They are .ibt files. That is the file format that iRacing puts out. So I kept MU off, so MU was not running. So I'm going to go ahead and start MU up now, and you will see this happen live. See the process happen. You'll see it take these two files, convert them, and then dump them over here in this other folder, and then it will clean up and delete these IBT files out when it's done. There you go. It told you right here exactly what it was doing, and every step of the process. I want to slide this down here just a hair, and there you see them. The IBT files are gone, and replacing it over here in the MoTec logs folder, which we created, is the MoTec files. There are two files. You notice we had two IBT files. Now we have 4 MoTec log files. As you'll notice, there's a .id file and a .idx file for each and every single MoTec set of telemetry. Each set of telemetry has 2 files. As you'll notice, one of these files right here that is bigger. It's 206 megabytes. And then the other one is only 10 kilobytes. So the ID files where the actual data lies. And then the IDX file is an index file that tells MoTec what to do with that data. So you need both files for MoTec to read it. In fact, when MoTec reads these files with the same file name and just a different extension, it just sees them as one piece of telemetry in MoTec. So we're going to go right now after MU has done this conversion. We're going to go ahead and minimize MU back into the taskbar. And we're going to go ahead and open up MoTec. It's this icon right here, MoTec i2 Pro. It's going to open us up directly into our Area 51 workbook. And if we want to load the telemetry data in now, all we do is we go up here to there's open log file. We go up there to that top left-hand button. And right here they are. Right here, this is the telemetry that we just took. I want to delete this one right here. It says 0 laps. We don't really need that. I'm not sure if you can delete it from here or not. Yeah, you can. Well, I went ahead and deleted that. I don't know what happened. It was a glitch. Maybe it's after the race whenever I went into the pit stalls or something. But this is the actual laps that I'd turned. It says 94 total laps. So we're going to double click on that one. And when you double click on it, it puts it down here in this bottom section. This bottom section is the files that's going to load into your workbooks. So you can actually load more than one in at a time, but we're just going to load the one for now. And so once it's down here, you just simply go over and hit open. and there it loads up your telemetry file into the workbook. We're going to go through this later. There's all kinds of different workbooks with different data in them. That's going to help you do all kinds of cool stuff. So, yeah, this is our driver development section of the workbook. We'll get into that later tonight with Tracy Rumschlag as he goes through this with you guys. So that is how you do it. That's how you load in the files. Now, one last thing I want to cover, and that is, I'm going to have Mµ back up here. If you where is Mµ? There it is. If you I want to kind of bring it down here. So if you are sharing telemetry files, the other way to get telemetry files, one way is obviously to go turn laps in iRacing. Second way is if you're sharing them with teammates and friends to try to compare with each other, to try to compare your laps with their laps, and we'll get into all that stuff in the driver development section of this MoTec 3-part series. But if you're sharing the files, get them to each other however you want, whether you have a Google Drive, which is probably the easiest way, or any other file sharing method. You can share that file and get that IBT file to your friend or teammate. I just created a folder right here on my desktop where I stuck a couple. These are from Major's Garage. They are the telemetry files that come with this upcoming week's setup packages for Kansas. And so there's 3 telemetry files right there. And so what we're going to do is I have this document, see this PC documents iRacing telemetry folder. Once you go out on the track and turn some laps and you record telemetry, that's where iRacing sticks it. So we're going to take all 3 of these and we're going to grab a hold of them and just put them right up in here in this folder and watch Mµ do its thing. Mµ's going to go through, it converts them all real quickly. It's got them all converted and they are over here now. As soon as we drop them in, Mµ picked them up and converted them for you, and they are all in here. So now we just simply go back to MoTec. Okay, so we have MoTec back up, and we just dropped those files from Major's Garage. They are MoTec converted them, and right here they are. Now, these top 2, one is for the B car, one is for the A car, but these bottom here by Austin, they're all for the truck. So let's grab this one with 5 laps. And this one with 4 laps. So we'll double click on the one with 5 and it adds it to the bottom. We'll double click the one with 4, adds it to the bottom. Now we're going to hit open. And now it opens both of them here in the same workbook. And that's pretty much how you do it. You can pick laps from different stints and compare both of them together. There's all kind of cool stuff that you can do, and we're going to let Tracy get into that with you guys tonight. But I just wanted to show you guys, how to go run laps. After you've installed it, I wanted to quickly show you how to go run laps in yourself and run your own telemetry files. And then when you're sharing with a friend or getting them as part of your setup package from a setup shop or whatever, to be able to load them in and then compare them to your lap times and your telemetry laps that you run. But in order to do that, I had to show you guys how to manually copy those IBT files into the telemetry folder so that Mµ can convert them into the MoTec log files as well. All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up here in part 1 of our MoTec series. This is how to install MoTec, how to install Mµ, how to get your workbook that we created here at Area 51 specifically for you guys that are watching this video, that you can have a workbook that has everything that you would need in it in order to do driver development on your team or yourself, and also to help you build setups. So this is part 1 of the 3-part series. Please come back and check out parts 2 and 3 as well. I hope that you learned something from this video, and I'd ask that you share the video. Like, that's the best thing you can do to help out our channel, is if this video helped you, to go and share it as many places as you can. Share it in iRacing forums, share it on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, Discord, anywhere that you share videos. We're trying to help as many iRacers as we possibly can. So sharing this video is how you can help us out the most. If you have not done so yet, we just ask you please subscribe to the channel. There's a subscribe button right down below the video. Just ask you to hit the subscribe and be a subscriber here at Area 51 Alien Factory. Also, there's a bell icon down there as we bring up new on-demand content just like this video. And also we live stream races from the cockpit of our cars. Also, we broadcast the Monday night strength of field race, and we do a weekly podcast called the Alien Factory Podcast, Sunday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please tune in and check out the podcast. So when all that great content goes live, if you hit that bell icon, you will get notified when it happens, and you won't miss a thing here on the Alien Factory. The other thing I can say is to go down that description below, and there's all kind of goodies down there. Not only are you going to find the links for the downloads of this video, but you're also going to find an affiliate link to help us out. 3 great places to get free setups for iRacing open races, completely free, community supported. You're also going to find a promo code down there where you can get 10% off all your purchases over at Maconi Setup Shop. So this is the video. We are so thankful you're here with us, and just ask you keep on coming back and checking out all of our great content here at Area 51. For myself, Mike Howerton, and everyone here at Area 51 Alien Factory, we appreciate you being here and viewing the videos and being part of our community. As always, we will see you in the next one.